In 1955, a Fuller brushman in Fort Wayne, Indiana, rang 60 doorbells a day, 6 days a week, in a job that broke most men inside a month. From the second a housewife opened her door, he had about 10 seconds before she decided whether to let him speak or shut it in his face. He was not handsome. He sold cleaning brushes off a route, on commission, out of a case he carried on the bus. And in a territory where women slammed the door on every other salesman, they opened theirs for him, poured him coffee, and asked him to stay. He had a code for 10 seconds, learned from the veteran who trained him. Most of it is gone now. And the one rule at the very bottom of it, the rule that old-timer gave him on the worst day of his working life, is number 1. He was not unusual. In that decade, there was a man like him on every route and behind every counter, able to win a total stranger in the time it takes to say hello, not with a trick, but with a way of being that landed before he finished a sentence. It was not charm you switched on, but something a man carried up the walk and let arrive in the first 2 seconds, so a door opened instead of closing. Then the world changed. We got scripts and screens and a suspicion of everyone at the door and learned to read every warm hello as a trick. We armored up, put out the no-soliciting sign, stopped opening to strangers, and somewhere in there stopped being glad to see anyone at all, and called it caution. Number 22 he did before he said a single word, and it opened doors that were half closed already. Number 5 he did on every doorstep in America, and it is the reason a stranger let a salesman into her living room. And number 1, the single rule beneath the entire code. The one a broken young man learned on a curb after a day of slammed doors. The reason women who trusted no salesman trusted him takes no looks, no money, and no talent, and almost no one manages it anymore. Stay with him to the end. This was not a sales technique and not a trick. It was the opposite of a trick, because the one thing at the very bottom of it could not be faked, no matter how well a man ran the other 24. That is the difference between a stranger you keep at the door and one you ask to sit down. Every rule on this list, that Fort Wayne route man lived by heart, 10 seconds at a time, 60 times a day. Hit that subscribe button, and let us count down the first impression code, the rules 1950s men lived by to make an unforgettable impression in 10 seconds. Number 25. He let you see him coming. He came up the walk in full, easy view. No rushing, no appearing suddenly at the glass, so that by the door he was already a known quantity. You approach in the open, unhurried, giving them time to size you up and relax. A mailman in Springfield in 1954 was trusted on every porch because he was never a surprise. The Fort Wayne route man walked up slow and plain. A stranger who appears too fast puts a person on guard. One who lets himself be seen coming has already begun to be trusted. The approach was half the impression. It happened before he knocked. Number 24. He led with his face. Before a word, his expression was already open, warm, and easy. The face arrived first and did most of the work. You set your face before the door opens. A person reads it a full second before your voice. A conductor in Trenton in 1956 greeted every car with a face that had already decided to like them. The Fort Wayne route man had a relaxed, friendly face ready before the latch ever turned. A tense or blank face makes a stranger brace. An open one makes them ease. The words came later. The face got there first. Number 23. He stepped back, not in. The instant the door opened, he took a small step backward, giving the person room instead of crowding the threshold. You lean away, not toward. Space says I am safe. Closeness says I am a problem. It was the Fuller man's own trademarked move, a polite half-step back on the doorstep, taught to every root man in the country. The Fort Wayne man stepped back as the door swung. A stranger who gives you room in the first second respects your door and your day, and that respect buys the 10 seconds that follow. He wanted in, so he stepped back. Number 22. He smiled first and meant it. Before the greeting, before the pitch, a real smile, the kind that reaches the eyes and creases them, arrived and stayed. You smile first, genuinely. The smile a person can feel is the fastest way into their good graces. A ticket seller in Duluth in 1955 could warm a cold line with one honest grin. The Fort Wayne root man smiled like he was glad the door had opened. A false smile reads as a sale, a true one as a friend, and a person decides which in about a second. This is number 22, and it opened doors that were already half closed. Number 21. He found your eyes and held them a beat. He met the person's eyes right away and held the look a moment, warm, steady, unafraid, but never a stare. You make eye contact early, hold it just long enough to say, "I see you," then ease off. A bank teller in Tulsa in 1954 made every customer feel personally received with a look. The Fort Wayne root man looked a housewife in the eye the second she opened up. Eyes that meet yours say, "Here is an honest man." Eyes that dart or drop say, "Here is one to watch." The look was steady. It said, "You have nothing to fear from me." Number 20. He said his own name, clear and slow. He gave his name plainly and without a mumble, a man proud of who he is and in no rush to hide it. You state your name clearly, unhurriedly. A mumbled name says unsure. A clear one says the opposite. A church usher in Macon in 1956 introduced himself so warmly that strangers felt welcomed by name. The Fort Wayne root man said who he was, slowly and plainly on every doorstep. A stranger cannot trust a name they did not quite catch, and a clear introduction is the first brick of the whole thing. The name was ordinary. The way he owned it was not. Number 19. He caught your name and used it at once. If a name was offered, he seized it and laid it back into the very next sentence so it would stick. You catch the name, repeat it in the first breath, use it while it is warm. A hotel clerk in Portland in 1955 could catch a name once and use it for a week. The Fort Wayne root man would say a woman's name back to her within seconds of hearing it. A person's own name in a stranger's mouth is the sound of being recognized, and being recognized is the beginning of being trusted. Everyone's favorite word is their name. He never wasted the gift of it.
Before we go on, I made something special for you. A guide for men like us who still believe a good name and good manners mean something. It's the lost gentleman's code, the old-fashioned manners American gentlemen once lived by, the kind that make you the man everyone respects, welcome in any room you walk into. But these ways are disappearing fast, and once they're gone for good. I've put together 2 books for you, plus a free bonus. Don't spend another year being the man people overlook. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link below. Go ahead, I'll wait.
Number 18. His handshake was warm, firm, and brief. If a hand was offered, he gave a firm, dry, warm grip and his full eyes, and let go before it grew awkward. You shake like you mean it, hold the eyes, release cleanly. The limp hand and the crushing one both fail. The lingering one unsettles. A foreman in Youngstown in 1954 hired men partly on the honesty of their grip. The Fort Wayne man shook a hand like the person on the other end was worth meeting, the first physical fact a stranger has of you, telling them in 1 second whether you are solid. Half was the grip. The half that mattered was the eyes. "Here is the trade we made," said plainly. "Every rule in this code asks the same thing, that a man show up to a stranger open, warm, and genuinely glad, with no guarantee of anything in return. That is a vulnerability, and the modern world has taught us it is dangerous. We got burned by the scripts and the fake warmth and the practiced hello that wanted our money, and learned to read every open face as a trick. We put up the sign, stopped answering the door, taught our children the same. We were protecting ourselves, and not wrong to. But in armoring up against the man who was glad to sell us, we shut the door on the man simply glad to meet us, and became a people who can reach anyone on earth and are glad to see almost no one. Number 17. He stood like he was glad to be there. Shoulders easy, back straight, weight settled. He stood like a man comfortable in his own skin and pleased to be where he was. You hold an open, upright, relaxed posture. The body announces confidence or fear a beat before the mouth. A conductor in Sacramento in 1956 filled a doorway with an ease that put whole cars at rest. The Fort Wayne route man stood tall and loose on the step, never hunched, never coiled. A person reads a nervous body as a reason to worry and an easy one as a reason to relax. The posture said more than hello. It said all is well here. Number 16, he was neat from 10 feet away. Pressed, barbered, shoes shined. He was put together in a way a person could read across the yard before he spoke. You handle your appearance so the first distant glance already says, careful and trustworthy. A druggist in Albany in 1955 said a man's grooming spoke before his mouth got the chance. The Fort Wayne route man kept himself sharp on a modest wage. A stranger judges a man's care off his appearance in the first instant, and a neat man has already answered a question the door was about to ask. The suit was cheap. The care in it read as character. Number 15. His first words were about you. He did not open with himself or his brushes. His first real sentence was aimed at the person in front of him, their morning, their porch, their day. You lead with them, not you, because the fastest way to a stranger's ear is to be about the stranger. A barber in Flint in 1954 opened every chair with a question about the man in it. The Fort Wayne route man's opening line put the housewife at the center, not his case. A person leans in when a conversation is about them and pulls back when it is about you. He had something to sell. He led with her anyway. Number 14, he spoke warm and unhurried. His voice was low, warm, and easy, never the fast, bright patter of a man racing to get his pitch out before the door shut. You keep your voice calm and warm. A rushed voice expects to be cut off. A calm one expects to be heard. A radio announcer in Des Moines in 1956 could settle a room with the warmth in his voice alone. The Fort Wayne route man spoke slow and warm on a doorstep where every second counted. The hurried voice makes a person want to end it. The easy one makes them want to stay. Speed felt like the answer. Calm was. Number 13, he asked before he told. He opened with a question, not a claim, something real he wanted to know, and then let them answer. You ask before you tell. A question invites a person in. A pitch shuts them out. An insurance man in Wichita in 1955 asked about a family before he ever mentioned a policy. The Fort Wayne route man led with a genuine question and waited for the reply. A stranger who is asked feels respected. One who is told feels handled, and the difference is felt in the first 10 seconds. Anyone can talk at a person. He started by asking, Number 12. He found one thing in common, fast. In the first breath, he found some small true thread between them. A hometown, a name, a kid's ball team, the weather they both hated. You reach for the one thing you share. Common ground turns a stranger into a neighbor fast. A traveling man in Chattanooga in 1954 could find a mutual friend with almost anyone in a minute. The Fort Wayne route man had a gift for the instant small connection. The moment a person finds one thing in common with you, you stop being a stranger and start being one of theirs. The thread was tiny. It changed the whole footing. Number 11. He noticed something true and said so. He caught one real thing, a well-kept porch, a fine rosebush, a clever child, and named it, specifically and sincerely, never as flattery. You give one true particular compliment. The specific one lands, the vague false one bounces off. A teacher in Baton Rouge in 1956 could find the one true good thing in any child and say it. The Fort Wayne route man would notice the thing a woman was quietly proud of and mention it exactly. A person can tell in an instant whether you actually saw them or are just working them. Flattery is cheap and obvious. He dealt only in the true kind. Number 10. He gave you the whole 10 seconds. For those 10 seconds, the person at the door was the only thing in his world. No glancing down the block, no mind already on the sale. You give your complete presence for the moment you have them. Divided attention is felt at once. A country doctor in Roanoke in 1955 made a 2-minute visit feel like his whole afternoon. The Fort Wayne man was entirely there on each step, 60 times a day. A person feels the difference between being met and being processed, and being met is what they remember. He had a route to run. Each door got all of him. Number 9. He kept his body open. No crossed arms, no hands jammed in pockets, no case held up like a shield. His body stayed open, easy, unguarded. You keep an open posture. A closed body reads as hiding something, an open one as nothing to hide. A minister in Hartford in 1954 greeted his congregation with open hands and an unguarded stance. The Fort Wayne route man kept his hands visible and his stance loose. A stranger's guard goes up or down in the first seconds on your body alone, and an open body quietly says, "You are safe with me." This is number 9, and it is why a woman alone felt easy letting him step inside. Here is the part of his story we skipped. He was not born good at any of this. His first week on the route in the summer of 1954 was a catastrophe. He did everything the manual said, smiled, shook the hand, gave the gift, ran the pitch, and door after door shut in his face 60 times a day, until he sat on a curb at the end of the worst day of it, 22 and certain he was not made for this. And the veteran who trained him, 20 years on the routes, invited in almost anywhere, sat beside him and told him the one thing wrong with everything he was doing. "Son," he said, "they can smell the difference between a man who is glad to see them and a man who is glad to sell them. You have been glad to sell them all week. Tomorrow, forget the sale. Just be glad the door opened. Be glad to meet whoever is behind it." And the boy, with nothing left to lose, went out the next morning and stopped selling, just knocked, and when the door opened, was honestly glad to meet the person standing there. Doors that had slammed all week stayed open. It undid him how simple it was. And that one thing is still coming. It is number 1. Number 8, he met you where you were. He read the person in front of him in an instant, harried, cheerful, suspicious, tired, and matched them easy with the easy, gentle with the wary. You meet a person at their temperature. One who matches your mood feels like an ally. One who runs over it an intrusion. A bartender in Omaha in 1955 could read a man's evening off his first sentence. The Fort Wayne man never gave a tired woman bright patter or a cheerful one a somber face, because a first impression is not a performance you repeat, but a person you meet. And meeting them means matching them. He read the doorway, then became the right man for it. Number 7, he never opened with an apology. He did not begin with "sorry to bother you" or "I know you're busy." None of the shrinking, hedging language that tells a person you expect to be turned away. You open without apology. A man who apologizes for existing invites the door to close. A young lawyer in Richmond in 1956 stopped apologizing his way into rooms and started being welcomed into them. The Fort Wayne root man greeted a housewife like a welcome caller, not an intruder begging pardon, because the apology plants the very doubt you fear and the warm hello plants trust. He was not sorry to be there, so he never once said he was. Number 6, he let you feel in control. He made it quietly clear, without a word, that the door was hers, the choice hers, and she could end it any second, and that ease is exactly what made her not want to. You leave a person their power. One who feels cornered pushes you out. One who feels free lets you stay. A salesman in Topeka in 1955 who never pushed outsold every man who did. The Fort Wayne root man never crowded, never pressed, never made a woman feel trapped on her own porch, because the moment a person feels they cannot say no, they stop being able to say yes. He gave her the exit. That is why she never took it. Number 5, he gave before he asked for anything. Before a single request, he put something in the person's hand, the free brush, a real gift, no strings, no catch. You give first, freely. Generosity disarms a stranger faster than any words and makes them want to give back. It was the Fuller man's founding secret, a free, handy brush pressed into a housewife's hand before the pitch began. The Fort Wayne man led with the gift on every step, because a man who gives before he asks is not one you fear. This is number 5, and it is how a stranger came to be invited in. Number 4, he listened like your answer mattered. When he asked and the person answered, he actually listened, did not wait with his mouth loaded for his turn, but took in what they said and let it land. You listen like the answer counts. A person feels at once whether you are hearing them or reloading. A judge in Savannah in 1954 made every person before him feel heard before he ruled. The Fort Wayne man listened to a woman's answer about her day as though it were news he wanted, because the rarest thing you can give a stranger is the sense they were actually heard. Everyone is waiting to talk. He was the one who listened. Number 3, he left you a little taller than he found you. Whether or not she bought a thing, a woman who met him at her door came away feeling better about her morning, her porch, and herself. You aim for a stranger to walk away lifted, not drained, because that lift is the whole of what they remember. A band leader in Baltimore in 1956 sent every room home feeling grander than it arrived. The Fort Wayne root man left people brighter than he found them, sale or no sale, because the true measure of a first impression is not what you got, but how you left them feeling. That was his rule too, on every step. What a person remembers of you is the size you left them. Number 2, he was the same man whether you bought or not. The moment she said no, He did not go cold, did not drop the warmth like a mask that had done its job. The man who took the no was the man who had knocked. You stay warm through the rejection, because the instant a stranger sees your kindness switch off, they know it was never real. A shopkeeper in Cleveland in 1955 thanked the browsers who bought nothing as warmly as the buyers. The Fort Wayne root man tipped his hat and wished a woman well just as kindly when she bought nothing as when she bought everything, because warmth that survives a no was true, and warmth that dies at a no was a tool. That was his rule too. There was only ever one of him at every door. Number 1, he was genuinely glad to meet you. That is the whole of it. Not a performance of gladness, not a technique that mimics it, the real thing. He actually liked people and was honestly happy that the door had opened and there you were. This is the thread that has run under every second of this list since the first. Because here is what the old-timer told him on that curb, the secret the whole code was only ever pointing at. People can smell the difference between a man who is glad to see them and a man who is glad to sell them. Every other rule on this list, the smile, the eyes, the open hands, the gift, the listening, was only the outward sign of that one inward thing, and not one works without it. A smile without gladness is a salesman's smile. A gift without warmth is a bribe. The whole code is machinery, and this is the current that runs it, and a stranger feels in 2 seconds whether it is on. He was glad to meet you. That could not be faked, and did not need to be, because it was true. That is the rule almost no one keeps now, in an age where everyone has learned the techniques and forgotten the feeling. It costs no money, no looks, no talent, only that you actually be glad the door opened, glad to meet the person behind it. He was, 60 times a day, on every doorstep in Fort Wayne. And that is why women who trusted no salesman poured him coffee and asked him to stay. None of these rules required money or looks or a single advantage that root man on commission did not have. They required only a man willing to walk up to a stranger open, unguarded, and honestly glad to meet them, and to do it again at the next door and the next, without armor and without a script. The men who met the world that way are mostly gone now, and we, who see 1,000 faces a day, meet none of them and cannot understand why everyone feels like a stranger. We got burned, armored up, and lost the thing the armor was covering, but the code was never complicated and never cost a cent. It waits in every person willing to slow down, open their face, offer the first warmth, and be genuinely glad to meet whoever is in front of them, waiting for anyone willing to make a stranger feel, in 10 honest seconds, that they were glad the door opened in a world that has mostly stopped answering it.